Mr. Speaker, first off, congratulations on being named Speaker of the House yesterday.
Thank you, Aaron. You know, it's an honor to be selected by the Republican caucus to lead the Montana House of Representatives as their next speaker.
What's your message to the folks across Montana on what you feel your priority is going to be, your goal is going to be coming up in the next legislative session?
Well, Aaron, you know, the only constitutional requirement we have is to balance the state budget, and that's always our first priority. And we'll be doing that and standing firm against any tax increases. You know, like the last session where $200 million in new taxes were proposed by the Democrats and the governor.
I thought it was interesting. Casey Schreiner, Democrat out of Great Falls, was elected the Democrats' minority leader in the state house, and I'd be honest, I kind of liked what he had to say as well. I was encouraged by the fact that he at least acknowledged that there's not an appetite for tax hikes out there among Montanans. Now, he mentioned that specifically with regard to I-185, but I hope that's a broader acknowledgement of the fact that Montanans do not want to see tax hikes. I think if we can all agree on that principle heading into the session, I think we're at least on a good start.
Well, Aaron, I agree with you, and I think it would save us some time up here at the Capitol in this coming session. I mean, the governor and the Democrats have proposed tax increases over tax increases the last few sessions, and we've knocked all of them down. We do not have an appetite for increasing taxes on the citizens of Montana, and so, you know, if they're on board with just working with our current resources, we can get things done.
I think one of the things that stood out from the special session about a year ago here, and some would question whether that special session was even needed at all, because the revenues ended up coming in about where the House or the legislative Republicans said they would come in. Nonetheless, we did get a nice Trump bump thanks to the federal tax cuts that probably bailed us out a little bit there. But you know, here we go into this next legislative session, and Steve Bullock, the Democrat, is still the governor that can still veto pretty much any good legislation coming out of a Republican-dominated Senate or Republican-dominated House. Given those constraints, what do you think can actually be accomplished, especially given the fact that apparently the governor just cares more about running for president in 2020 than accomplishing stuff back here in Montana?
Well, Aaron, this will be my fourth session up here in Helena, and you know, with all those sessions, of course, Governor Bullock has been the governor. We've had a Democrat governor and a Republican legislature, and at the end of the day, you know, we can do what we can get across the line with Republican principles and working with the governor. And I suspect, you know, we'll end up mostly where we've been at in previous sessions, you know, not approving any tax increases and managing a budget that can work for the people of Montana.
The other thing that kind of stood out from the last special session of the legislature, it seemed like Republicans, moderates, and conservatives alike, they stood together. There was unity, and I know for a few sessions prior to that, there, you know, and without saying who's to blame, there wasn't that same unity within the Republican Party. Do you think the GOP will maintain that same united front that led them to victory in the 2017 special session?
Well, Aaron, that's one of my primary goals in this session, is to work as a unified Republican caucus. You know, as you said, we did a very good job in the special session, and bringing that forward into the 2019 session will just allow us to work together and move Republican principles, get those across the line at the end of the day and at the end of the legislative session.
You know, I mentioned the remarks regarding, you know, in opposition to tax hikes that even the Democrat minority leader just elected had referred to in some of his remarks. But it also seems that the Republican leadership and the Democrat legislative leadership, you know, may also find some ground when it comes to Medicaid expansion. I guess we'll see what happens in the months ahead. But very clearly, Medicaid expansion, at least a Medicaid expansion that involves no reforms, no changes, that was rejected by the voters with the rejection of I-185. But I think both you and the Democrat leader have acknowledged that maybe there remains a support out there for Medicaid expansion in the state. The question is just how and what that plan might look like, and the viability of that type of a plan. How do you think that issue might shake up heading into January?
Well, Aaron, we recognize it's our responsibility to manage this Medicaid expansion during this session. It's important fiscal and human services issues. So it's really too early to discuss any specific bill proposals. Those are being drafted. Committees will need time to work through the process, and we'll be looking at all possible solutions on managing Medicaid expansion.
All right. What if you had, say, 3 to 5 things, 3 to 5 goals, or something that you would like to accomplish in the next session? What would that be as the new Speaker of the House?
Well, Aaron, like I stated before, just stand firm and have a good budget that's going to support the citizens of Montana. The next goal would be with no tax increases, and then the third goal would be basically seeing and taking a hard look at Medicaid expansion this session, and see if we can get that worked out and make sure that's a viable program if we continue with it.
I know I spoke with Attorney General Tim Fox earlier this morning. He mentioned putting out congratulatory phone calls out. I think he'd already at least left messages, if not talked with 3 of the 4 Democrat and Republican leaders in both chambers. Have you gotten a message from Governor Steve Bullock yet? Has he given any thoughts, congratulations, or insights on what he's hoping to accomplish in the next session to you?
I haven't reached out and talked to Governor Bullock yet. It's been a busy process up here, and he has not reached out to me. But I had a number of calls and congratulatory phone calls. But I will be reaching out to Governor Bullock and just sitting down and have a little chat with him and see if there's anything that we may be able to work together on.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what approach he takes this session, because I guess he's kind of been criticized for a hands-off approach in previous legislative sessions. And really, it's been the legislators that get the job done. And at the end of the day, either the governor has signed the bills or not signed the bills, but he really hasn't done much. And I guess from a political or from a strategy standpoint, I guess you could see how maybe Bullock took a play-it-safe approach in his first term as governor. But here he is. This is his last legislative session. You would think that in 8 years of being governor, you would want to accomplish something for the state of Montana. And so hopefully he wants to sit down with you and make some deals and get some stuff done, because you'd think being governor for 8 years, you'd want to have some significant accomplishments, really. But then again, maybe he's too focused on running for president. We'll see, I guess. Well,
I hope Governor Bullock does turn his attention, back to Montana and the citizens of Montana, and we can get something done. And I also hope he doesn't bring us the $200+ million tax increases that we have declined in past sessions. So good luck with Governor Bullock. He does have an interest, it looks like, running for the president of the United States, but currently right now we need to take care of the state of Montana.
Yeah. And I would think, too, if somebody's going to run for president, actually a big accomplishment back in your home state, what better narrative to try to run for a higher office than to try to make some achievements in your current office? That's kind of my take, too. All right, Speaker of the House, Greg Hertz out of Polson, Montana. Congrats again to being elected Speaker of the House. Anything else you want to tell folks across Montana?
No, Aaron, it's always an honor to talk to you and talk to the people across the state of Montana. And, this is an honor and a very humbling experience to not only just be a state representative, but to be the Speaker of the House, something that, I never even had my goals on, or something, 6 short years ago when I first walked into the state capitol as a legislator. But I'm up for the challenge here and working hard to move the state forward.
All right. Well, we'll come up and visit you at the Capitol and in the middle of the session and get updates from there, and probably do our show live from the Capitol from time to time. But if you ever need to get a message out to the folks across the state, you know who to call, you know where to call in, and we'll be here with Montana Talks in the meantime. So, Mr. Speaker, again, pleasure having you on the show this morning. Great to talk with you, and good luck to you and all the legislators in the months ahead.